Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to another Precious Metal Ramble where we have down-to-earth discussions about all things precious and shiny. And these precious shiny things are doing rather well at the moment in terms of investment return. Am I tempted to sell any of my gold and silver to release some of the profits that I've got on paper? Well, the short answer is no, but at some point the answer will be yes, and I will look to sell a lot of my gold and silver. How, though? Exit strategies. It's a question that I've been asked a lot. It's also a topic that I've talked about in the past, right back from the very beginning, because I thought about this before I even started looking to buy gold and silver. And if you haven't thought about how you might sell your gold and silver, you need to, because without doing that, you are just setting yourself up for failure. What's that famous phrase? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. If you don't know how you're going to get your money out of any investment, whether it be gold, silver, stock, shares, whatever, you are setting yourself up for a problem. So in today's video, we're going to wax lyrical about the different ways that one might look to sell and what might be best, how I'm going to go about it, perhaps when the time comes for me to say goodbye to a lot of the gold and silver that I have. I don't know exactly when that will be. I will imagine it being a very sad day in the Backyard Bullion household when there is no more gold and silver. But if I'm being brutally honest, I think some of it might end up being kept and handed down to future generations. Whether that is likely for you, I don't know, but everybody's circumstances are different. So first up, if you are going to keep it forever, maybe this video isn't for you, but have a think about how future generations might sell your gold and silver, because whilst you might have a passion for this stuff, someone that you might hand it down to might not, and they might just want all the money that you've locked up in here. So lots of different things to consider. Love to know your thoughts down in the comment section. Please let me know. Now, exit strategies are really, really important. I can't emphasize that enough, because without being able to get your money out of gold and silver, it is ultimately just spending money that you will then have locked up for a very long time. There are opportunities, and there have been opportunities in this last year for gold and silver to make quite a lot of money on. And unfortunately, money is what makes the world go round. I know a lot of people who buy gold and silver will think about it as a way to almost beat the system, as a way to say, well, to give that proverbial middle finger to the man, to make sure that your wealth is your wealth and not somebody else's wealth. But ultimately, we need money to pay our bills and mortgages and buy food and gas, and goodness knows everything else is so expensive right now that we need more of it than ever before. So gold and silver will help you with that. But where and how will I sell my gold and silver? Now, I'm lucky because I have this YouTube channel with 100,000 plus subscribers, which is still maddening for me to think about. So I have an advantage over you. I also have the advantage that I've been a precious metal seller and vendor and business for the better part of a decade. So I know my way around getting things sold. But it's not that easy. It really isn't easy. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why our Backyard Bullion Buyers Club, the intermediary service that we set up, gosh, it was 2022, I think, or 21 into 22. I just had this random idea, started a video, filmed this thing where I said, if you want to sell but you don't want to get ripped off by a dealer and you want to give better prices for buyers, then maybe I can help as an intermediary. And lo and behold, £3 million worth of stock later, here we are. And just a little plug for my own service there. If you are looking to partake in some selling of gold and silver, perhaps our intermediary service might be something of interest to you. Please do get in touch. Information is down in the linked description below. But it is a difficult concept to get your head around selling. How are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? What platforms are you going to do it on? Now, for me, I have that luxury. But if I was to take away the luxury of YouTube, if perhaps at some point I stop being Backyard Bullion on YouTube and I just become myself again, how would I go about doing that? Well, for me, I've always had really good success with eBay. I've been eBaying for nearly 20 years in one way or another. It started out with trading cards, Magic the Gathering, buying and selling singles and things like that. And then I had a bit of a hiatus, and then I did some coin stuff right at the beginning of the YouTube journey, and then I did some more Magic the Gathering stuff that I had left over in my collection, and then I've just used it all this time. I've even sold some stuff of my own poured silver on there as well. So there's loads of different avenues by which you can do it. eBay's a great one, but it's not necessarily the best thing for things like gold. For this stuff, it used to be, for me, just take it down to a bullion dealer, and to a certain degree that's even the case now, even with this YouTube channel that I have. You know, if I've got X amount of sovereigns, let's say, I'm not going to tell you exactly how many sovereigns I've collected over the years, but if I have X amount of sovereigns and I was to put them all up on my platform, on my website, there's definitely going to be an argument from an HMRC perspective, from a taxman perspective, that I'm suddenly trading in sovereigns, and it's not going to be Backyard Bullion selling them. It's going to be me, Joe Blogs Anonymous, that's selling them. And HMRC will definitely want their cut of what right now in my investment bullion portfolio are capital gains tax exempt products that I can just sell and have that profit all locked in. So actually right now, even though I've got my brilliant reach with the Bullion Buyers Club and my YouTube channel, the risk of me selling all of this stuff and getting an extra 20 quid a sovereign is kind of not worth it, quite frankly. Just take it all down to a bullion deal and get it sold, get the money in. But that's not always going to be the case for more premium items. So collectibles like coins, like specialist things from, say, the Perth Mint or Queen's Beasts coins, things that have more than, say, a 10, 15, 20 pound premium on top of them, I want to take the time to get the right sale for that. So social media is a great avenue for that. Bookie, Faceplace, whatever it's called. I don't really use it. I've never used it, quite frankly, but I got rid of my own personal account on there 15 years ago. I just didn't like it. And but it is a good marketplace. I'm not going to lie to you. It is a good marketplace if you're a seller. There's some risks on it, but there are generally, it's like eBay, there's risks on eBay, but generally it's a really good platform. Other places like the Silver Forum, Stacker Social, these are all fantastic avenues by which you can look to liquidate some of your collectibles and items of interest like that. So definitely having a profile on there. If you haven't got a profile already, get a profile. But think about how you're physically going to sell them, how you're going to list them. Are you going to list them and expect people to pay you thousands of pounds before you ship things out? There's all these difficult things to factor in. So not the easiest of options. The other option, and it's a difficult one because, again, if you're putting things like this into a proper auction, like Coins of the Realm auction, we partner with them, they're a sponsor of our channel, they'll take 10%. And 10% is quite a lot, certainly on the lower end of the collectible scheme. Now, if you're selling something like the beautiful 1 ounce completer Queen's Beast proof that was £2,300 at issue price and the last auction sold for nearly £14,000, then, you know, from my perspective, am I going to be able to find a buyer for £14,000? How am I going to ship that coin to somebody for £14,000? It's going to be very difficult to do. So I would very much consider using a specialist auction house to get that kind of thing done. And again, from a HMRC perspective, it seems a little cleaner from a record-keeping perspective. So maybe make some connections with some auction houses. I will highly recommend Coins of the Realm. They're not sponsoring today's video, but they are literally written down in my drop-down dead book for Mrs. Backyard Bullion. I've itemised certain coins that she is under no uncertain circumstances to just take to a bullion dealer, because they will take her for all it's worth. Even the good ones, you know, they just, it's not their game. They're not necessarily legally scamming someone. They're just actively not in the market for that kind of a product. So you've got to think about that, and that's where, like, I come back to this thing where you might not be thinking about this now because you're just investing in this stuff for a future generation. You're never going to sell it. You take it, they're going to pry it from your cold dead hands. Well, okay, but what happens when they pry it from your cold dead hands? Because there are some horror stories, and I'll remind. So another good video I did, which was about inheriting gold and silver and what to do if you inherit gold and silver. But if you inherit gold and silver and you don't know anything about it, and perhaps you then just want to sell it, like, so you've done really well, you've worked hard all your life, you've built an amazing stack. It's this is your stack. You've gone, this is a lifetime's worth of saving and investing and prudence. Great, brilliant. Your loved ones get it. Now they go, I don't really want it, I just want the money, thanks. So they go to any old Joe Blogs auction house and they say, can you sell all this? And they go, yes, we can. It'll be 25% buyer's fees. Okay, and then the auction house will sell 25% on top for hammer price. So what happens there is, people don't understand this. I said it in the video. I'm going to try and say it as cleanly and succinctly as possible. Buyer's fees, they are paid for by the buyers. That's easy. Seller's fees are also paid for by the buyers, but in a roundabout way. So they are paid physically. The money changes hand from the seller to the auction house, but the buyer adjusts their bid down to a certain point. Let's take an ounce of gold as an example. So you have an ounce of gold, let's say an ounce is £3,400, give or take right now. If the buyer's fees are 25%, then the buyer will bid 25% less than that. If the seller's fees are 25%, the buyer will also adjust. You will not get the full value. It is just how it is. The auction house will take their cut. You will not. It's just how it is. I think I've I've done it again, haven't I? I've misinterpreted that or explained that. I'll start again. The buyer's fees will be adjusted by the buyer. So they will pay 25% under spot price, right? So if you had 0 buyer's fees or 10% buyer's fees or 0 seller's fees and 10% buyer's fees like Coin in the Realm, that buyer would pay spot price, right? So no fees, buyer pays spot price. So you get spot price. Buyer's fees 25%, buyer adjust bid down 25%. Then the auction house takes their 25% from the seller's fees and you're left with less than half of your gold. Can you imagine that if you did that for your loved ones in the future and they weren't educated? So what I've got as well is, I've got an exit strategy, which is, threefold. I ramble, by the way. That's what I do best. Hi, welcome to the channel. If you've watched now for 11 minutes, this is me in my finest. This is me in my element in the backyard with the birds singing away and me just rambling on about precious metals. So exit strategies for me: bullion, probably to a bullion dealer. Gold more so than silver. I think I can get better value for things like silver doing it myself on social media. So bullion dealer. Silver bullion, do it yourself on social media. I'm lucky I've got a YouTube channel, I've got a platform already, I've got social media now, so I know how to do it. Do you? Third option there, find an intermediary. I offer that intermediary service. Definitely worth looking into if you're looking to sell some silver right now. I can get you a better price than a net result from a dealer. Gold, a bit more difficult because the margins are so tight on gold, but that's how it is. Specialist items, do it yourself on the likes of eBay. I'll give another example of this. Actually, I'll sum up first before I ramble more, sorry. And then the final option is real premium stuff, high-end collectible premium stuff that is really niche. Proper auctions, proper auction house. Get it done properly with responsible fees. Don't just go to any old Joe Blogs auction house. Because there's another horrible story. God, I could be here all day rambling. Okay, 2 stories. First up, the eBay route. For example, good old Backyard Bullion Senior loves his model railways, has a huge model railway collection of trains. He's really, really into it. I'm not. I don't know anything about it. I like model railways. That's nice. Am I going to be as model railway-ish as my dad is? Probably not, if I'm being honest. And also there's the compounding point that me and my siblings will also have equal claims to the collection. So if I want to keep stuff, I would have to basically buy them out of it. So I don't really want to do that. But there isn't a model railway bullion dealer equivalent that you can just go to. So I'm going to do a lot of that myself on eBay, for example, because I know how to do it. My brothers, they don't know how to do it. So I'd be the one to do it. So that's how you do it. Right, auction house horror stories. So there's a really good thread. I will try my best to link this in the description box below, but I'm going to be honest, this video is being filmed about 2 weeks before it's going to be going live, so I might forget. So please remind me in the comment section. That's your cool kids. If I forget that link to this thread on the Silver Forum, then please remind me and I'll put it there. There was a gentleman who went to Chard's bullion dealer with some coins that he bought at auction, and he was questioning them because they didn't seem quite right. And indeed, one of them was silver instead of gold. And he thought he was buying a essentially quintuple sovereign piece, so 5 sovereigns worth of gold, which is, as you can imagine, £4,000. And it turns out it's a silver-plated or gold-plated silver version of that coin. And so, Charles basically put the evidence for him to go back to the auction house. The auction house has tried basically to wash themselves of any responsibility, saying no, the coin was genuine. Now, there are plenty of different things at play here. It could be that the auction house is completely right and the customer has just pulled a fast one, has swapped out the coin. That is definitely a thing that is possible. There also could be other things at play. It could be that the auction house themselves swapped it out. That is theoretically possible. Or it could be a rogue employee at the auction house that swapped it out and the auction house doesn't even know. It could be that it was the wrong package or wrong item in the wrong package and the auction house didn't test it. It was mislabeled. They just misinterpreted it. It was in the wrong box maybe. There's loads of different things that could have happened. But the fact is still that the auction house has basically washed their hands of any responsibility. And by the time this video goes live, I don't know what the resolution will be, but I hope and I think that, Lawrence from Chard's has been really good at trying to give some advice to this individual that has had this situation happen to them. And look, I'm not going to name the auction house, but it is named in that Silver Forum thread, so go and check it out. Basically, the problem here is you don't have a leg to stand on, really, and I hope that this person goes to the full lengths in courts and police reports, because I do think there's some foul play. If he's genuine, if he hasn't actually swapped it out, because if he has, there's going to be an audit trail of that somewhere. If he's, if he's seen that coin and he's gone and bought the silver replica, there's going to be a record of that somewhere. But I don't think that's very likely to happen. So there's going to be a mistake that's happened somewhere, whether it's the auction house or a rogue employee or someone somewhere has done something wrong. But you're left up the brown creek without a paddle majorly, and it's really scary. So be very careful. Exit strategies make all the difference when it comes to gold and silver. Now, the different exit strategies, we'll finish up with this little bit of the roundup, the bringing it back round. I like to think, do you know what, as much as I don't like the man, I have a bit of the Donald Trump weave about me. I do go on these tangential rambles and I bring it back round to a final point. Exit strategies. So if you haven't got an exit strategy, you run risks of being caught short without knowing quite what's right, or with your loved ones not knowing quite what's right. So make sure you've got the exit strategies such that you can take advantage of, say, the spikes in the market right now. If you're not already, get on good terms with one of the bullion dealers. You know, just simply message and say, look, you know, I have X, Y, and Z. Is it okay if I leave your details in, a document with my will, just in case loved ones need to access it, and they'll know that they can sell it through you? Because if you bought some gold from a bullion dealer, they're more likely to deal with you. I don't know if they'll give you favourable prices and terms, but they're more likely to deal with you because they know you. They've already done their know your customer checks. They've already done their anti-money laundering checks. If, for example, if I drop down dead and my kids bring in all my sovereigns to Atkinson's or Chard's, where I bought the majority of them from, then they'll know that it's not just stolen from somewhere. They'll be like, okay, yeah, well, we know that your dad bought a bunch of them. We've got the records that your dad bought them. Great. There you go. Easy peasy. Now, from my perspective, the most important thing is to just learn about how to sell things if you haven't already started. Get yourself on some social media if you've not already done so. The 3 ones that I would recommend highly: get an eBay account, start selling random shit on it. Because if you have an eBay account with 0 feedback, that's not good. If you have an eBay account even with just 50 feedbacks, that's great. Sell some random old junk clothes, whatever it might be. eBay, definitely worth having still. Second, make sure that you've got a social media account, whether that's Bookie Faceplace or Vinted or the Silver Forum or Stackers Social. 100% need to get those in. And then get yourself a short list of the best bullion dealers out there that you need to work with or want to work with, or places that you bought from. Get your records in order. I think that's pretty much it. That's the full-on Donald Trump weave back to the points I like to make. So, yeah, thanks very much. Now, cool kids. What we're going to get you, there's something on the table I got out specifically because I was talking about inheriting. These are the 2 bits of gold that me and my brother have inherited, and I hold them on his behalf. So for you cool kids, you've got one of 2 choices. You can quote me 1980 for this half Kookaburra, or you can quote me, I can't remember which date it was now, 1861 for this lovely shieldback sovereign, which was found underneath some floorboards by my grandfather when he was rebuilding a house. How cool is that, right? This was bought by my other grandfather. Both grandfathers had the same idea of buying some gold, or finding some gold, I suppose. And yeah, so there we go. Cool kids, you know what to do. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next video. As always, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.